Hey there, everyone. It's Dana. Just wanted to let you know that there's not going to be a Drinking with Dana or a Dana Reviews Things episode this week. Um, so, for those of you who followed the show for a while, you know that my dad hasn't been doing well. Well, he passed away yesterday, and so I'm really not up to doing a show this week. Instead, I thought I'd film a little something, and at least where I can edit out where I ugly cry when I talk about how great my dad was. And, uh, I figured we could raise a glass to him at the end of this. So grab whatever drink you want or make a Manhattan along with me. I know that I've done Manhattans on the show before, and I'm going to make it exactly the same way as I did that time, but Manhattans were one of my dad's and my shared drinks. He taught me how to make them, and we always enjoyed having them together. So I'm going to make myself one of those while I talk a little bit about him. So, um, basically, my dad was born back in 1939, and about a week or two after my mom was born. They were both born in the same place and grew up together. Well, a bit. They met in high school, and in on they met in their freshman year, and they dated, and they broke up for their sophomore year, and then they dated again for and then they got back together their junior year, and were never apart after that. They got married shortly after went to college. They both went to the University of Washington, and my dad, in order to pay for college, um, signed up with the Navy Reserves. Well, the problem with that is that they swore up and down he'd never have to go on active service, but of course he did. Matter of fact, we're fairly sure he saw my father-in-law, Lori's dad, being shot at one point from the safety of a boat. But that's a story for a different day. Um, and he hated his time in the military so much that he to the end of his life he could never have a gunmetal gray car because they reminded him too much of the destroyer he was stationed on. So that, by the way, that was 3 ounces of Crater Lake rye. Um, anyway, they had many adventures that I don't have time to get into, but then they got married when they were in college, so that my mom could travel with him in the Navy, and then excuse me. Um, Hopefully, I'll cut that out. And then anyway, he um, let's see. Then after graduating college, he went to work at Boeing, and eventually retired from Boeing many years later, and had a great life. But somewhere in there, they had me and my brother, and they raised us as well as they could. I still turned out this way. Um, and that was an ounce of vermouth. Um, and he taught me a lot of things. I joked when I came out to them that he taught me how to be such a good man that it took me longer to figure out that I was a woman. So he was he was quite a guy. And as much as my mom taught me about cooking, and she taught me a lot. She was a fantastic cook. My dad was the one who taught me about wine and spirits and that sort of thing, and how to not necessarily how to be responsible, but how to enjoy them well. Um, you know, not overindulge for the sake of overindulging, or not to drink just to get drunk, but to enjoy what you were drinking, and get things because they tasted good, that sort of thing. Anyway, so yeah, he taught me taught me to appreciate wine. I don't know if folks know this, but I actually worked down in Napa for quite a while, which he very much appreciated. He used to travel down there with my mom all the time. Um, and here goes some bitters into the drink. I'm using the Emaluki ones again. And yeah, so he taught me how to appreciate wine, took me wine tasting, or, well, no, as soon as it was legal, pretty much. I used to go with them wine tasting before it was legal and just be their designated drivers all day. And then when we got back to the hotel, he'd pour me some of the good stuff. I think it's safe to say that now because he's no longer around to suffer any repercussions from it. Anyway, so yeah, he was a hell of a guy. He was an incredible father. I love both my parents very, very much, and I was very, very grateful that I got such wonderful and accepting parents. I feel a little bit guilty sometimes hearing about how, about what other parents were like, especially when their kids came out as trans. Now I came out quite late in life, and maybe if I did it earlier, things would have been different, but I doubt it. I really do. Let me shut these blinds a little bit. Sorry about that. Anyway, the drink has been stirred down here. Anyway, right up until the very end, he never messed up on my name, never forgot my pronouns. He had barely any memory left at the end, but he could remember that and remembered who I was. And I remember one time I was talking with him and about some trans thing, that maybe a surgery I wanted or something like that. And I said, "Oh, this it's got to be boring for you. It's, you're not interested in this." And he said, "No, it's important to you, so it's important to me." And that's just the kind of person he was. Yeah, he thought that the things that you could do when transitioning were neat from a technical standpoint, but mostly it was that it was important to me. So he listened, and that was the other thing. Is he was a fantastic listener. Um, just kind of had to be with my mom around, but when he was there, there was just this incredible sense of calm. He was like an oasis of calm in any situation he was in. And when he listened to you, you knew he was listening. And it, and as someone growing up with ADHD who had all sorts of problems, the ADHD storytelling style is something to behold. But he listened. He never cut me off, never, interrupted, just, never went on to a different topic. It was important to me, so it was important to him. And that was just the kind of person he was. And somewhat appropriately, I'm putting the last maraschino cherry from that jar in there, which I forgot to bring a napkin in. But anyway, so let me set this down. If you could all join me in raising a glass to Ren Prevey, best father a girl could hope for. Cheers. Love you, Dad. And that's as close as we're going to get to a show this week. I'm sorry, I'm just not sure I could make it through this time. I certainly don't have time to prepare it. So, thank you all for being with me. You've meant the world to me. You still mean the world to me. And you make doing the show fantastic. I'll be back in a couple of weeks, and hopefully hopefully I'll stop crying by then, and hopefully things will have calmed down a bit. But thank you all. Cheers to you too.